I hope my screen is visible to you, right?
Yeah,
Okay, thanks. So you must have seen this list, how to create list and then iterate over a list. Then the next example we talked about the hash maps. Okay, how to put data in hash map, what purpose hash map serves, and how to iterate over the hash map. Then we also see something like when we were iterating through hash map. Okay, oh sorry, iterating through a list. So we can put multiple condition like break, continue, or if else condition, right? But suppose if you want to put multiple if else condition, uh, should we go that way?
దాని తర్వాత ఏం పని రా నీకు దాని
Sorry.
చిరాకు సార్
Okay, sure. Thank you. So suppose you want to put multiple conditions while iterating or on some particular some particular variable, then writing a if else would be little complex, or it won't give you a good picture, right? Again, if you put that if else conditions, it's okay to write it, but when you write production grade code, and if you'll use some tools like sonar cube or something, code qualities, so it will start giving you error. Okay, don't use this view. Then the other way is using switch statements. Okay, so suppose I'll create a string, and string will denote state. Okay, and I'll put any state here. Okay, now suppose if I write state as Telangana, usually how we write it. Okay, okay, but uh okay, let's go that way. Telangana system dot out dot println. This is Telugu, right? Else if I'll put Punjab. Okay, suppose this is a very simple code. I write some condition. I have a state name, and as and when I'll get some state, I have to put what language we usually spoke. So, say if I change, if right now the state is Telangana, we spoke Telugu mostly. If I change this to Maharashtra and rerun, it will give me Marathi, right? But writing such if else is like a not a good picture, or what you say, not a recommended one. So what we will do, instead of writing multiple if else, there is something called switch statement. Okay, sorry guys. So this is how a switch statement look like. Case. Okay, I'll explain this code. Wait.
చెప్పారు
I
కదా.
I think after case we can use break. I think.
Yeah, yeah. I'll paste this break and all this thing. I'm just pasting the code for now. So this is a way to write switch statement. Okay, suppose now the state is Maharashtra here. It will give the same result, but it used to give previously Marathi. It said language mostly uses Telangana. What?
For Maharashtra, I have written Telugu
Oh
in
shit.
system.
Mm. Thanks, guys, whoever it is. But I think I made a silly mistake while pasting. Yeah. So I think this is the way to change your messy else if else code to standard switch statement. Okay. Any doubt in the syntax? So this is how the switch statement start. There you used to provide your main expression with on basis of which you want to do the cases, and each case is like a if condition, and within this if condition, like case is like a if this equals to this. Okay, and then you will write your logic here and break it. So this is the limit of this if block kind of thing, right? Like this if block. So
Okay, Charan.
right.
Yeah, okay, Charan.
So this is a basic switch statement. How to use switch statement instead of if else if else. Okay, so now I hope you must have yeah, already used the strings, you know. So this is also a string, but I mean in Java, string is like a string has lot of feature, and we will spend some time on discussing the string part, and then we'll move to other part. So suppose if I'll create string, what you say, say 2 equals to new string. Okay, so the both are correct. If I'll print this one, state, see both are strings only, but this string represent a literal and this string represent objects. Anybody, any idea what can be the difference?
One is like can taking value, and another one is calling a method, but both are strings.
No. So these are string literals and these are string objects. Okay. So what happened is in Java used to maintain a specifically pool for strings. Okay. So suppose I'll create, sorry, string s2 equals to again Maharashtra. What do you think? Java will create a new string here. The answer is no. What Java will use? if the data is same as some old string that already exists in my memory, it will refer the same string to optimize the space. So even if this s2 is different here and state is different, but since their data is same, deep down in the memory they are referring to the same location. But if I'll do the same thing with this one, state 3, and this is also Punjab, but in this case both the string will have their separate memory in the, like what you say, dedicated string memory area we called as heap.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the main difference to create create string as a literal or create string as an object. Though it won't affect you while writing your code, but maybe in some specific condition you might be needing it. So just sort of you guys letting you know. Okay, then uh, you must, I don't know if you know or this thing, by default strings, if I create this one, these are immutable in Java. Do you understand the concept of immutable and mutable? And any thoughts, guys?
I think like changed one. I mean, changeable and unchangeable.
Right,
Like
true.
sets and list. I mean, I think.
Yeah, it's true only, but the thing is, so suppose if I'll go to this one, state dot, there is no option to append, or I cannot change this string. If I want a change string, it will be a new string to me. So suppose I'll do string s1 equals to state plus, or suppose I'll do hello from state. Okay, and then s1. So I know I got a new string s1, right? We can't change an existing string, or even instead in the end or something, nothing we can do, right? But there are some ways we can create a mutable string as well, where in the same string we can keep on adding the data. So I mean, it's a very specific use case. Sometimes you need to append same data to the existing string, because copying data from one string to other string and then appending, it would be like little expensive for you. For example, right now we are dealing with very small data. It's like it will not even take some nanoseconds. But suppose if you are reading a file that has some GBs of data, so suppose you want to append that file or write into the same file, you guys know about the logs thing, logs we create while writing application, right? So logs are like a very lengthy thing where keep on appending to the file. So it's hard to copy. Suppose if you want to uh, load the entire logs file in one string and then add data and then put it back, it will be very hard, right? Then you have to copy the entire data to some other string and then append, then add some data, right? It will be expensive operation. So you need some way where you can create mutable strings in Java, and that's where string buffer and string builder comes in. For equals to new string buffer, and I'll say suppose hello from, and then buffer dot, if I'll say append, and here I say delete system dot out. dot println it will print hello from Delhi, right? So here string we appended some data, and similar way there is one more option, string builder equals to new string builder, and I'll say sorry, builder dot append. Hi from Kerala. It's like a builder one, right? Okay. Now tell me one thing. If I'll give you some string and ask you to find all the A's and replace it with some star, how you will guys do?
Can you say once again?
Sorry.
Can you ask me the question once again? I mean,
Okay, okay.
repeat the
So
question.
suppose I'll give you some string, okay, and I ask you to replace all the A with star, how you will do that? Like replacing, suppose I'll give you some this text itself, okay. Now I'll say replace all the A, capital A, with star. Or
I
suppose
think
I'll
S1
say
dot replace.
hmm, suppose
S1 dot
replace
replace.
E to
Can
change E to star. Can you try that, Kiran?
I mean, I don't know exact in Java, but I have. I mean, in Python, I have used. I mean, S1 dot replace. I think you can use
Okay, so you want to say S1 dot replace and then everything you will replace, right?
S1 dot replace.
Old character and new character you will pass and then you will replace, right?
Yeah, I think yeah.
I mean that's a predefined function, but if you want to, if I'll restrict you to not to use this predefined function and write me a core logic, do you know how to do that?
Like in for loop, it
Yeah,
may
for
be.
okay.
Yeah, we can take the length of the string and iterate through that length and storing in a new value. With
New value is in
like if take a string s2 equal to empty string and in for loop we can take that length and iterating like if condition iterating loop with a condition if a equal to I
hmm.
mean if a comes star will replace it.
Okay. Can you try writing this code? I mean, and sharing your screen and writing this code. It will be give more confidence to other as well and you as well. If you are comfortable, that's okay. Otherwise, we can leave this part.
uh, I will make the code and I will paste in chat.
Okay. Anything is fine. I mean, it's not like a something we're looking for. Okay. So those guys, anyone interested how it will work? So basically, simple concept. Kiran was correct. We need to iterate through it, and we'll check only wherever the condition is, and we'll just replace it. That's okay. Anyway, even this one was also okay. S1 dot replace. Java already provide this feature. If I'll say okay, replace A with star, that also do. Which S1 already existed. S5. S5. Did you see the difference between last run and this run? Guys, anyone? So what happened was in the last run, I simply write this thing S5 dot replace character A to star, which means, and then I was trying to print S5, which means any changes in S5? No. What it is doing is it's creating a different string altogether where they are replacing A with the star and giving me a new replace string called R, and that contains star instead of A. So it will, I mean, for such string it will be okay, but for large string it will be a complex thing. So it is recommended to use either string buffer or string builder. Okay, so you can replace the existing data that is there in your memory. It will help you to reduce the latency. Okay, now other small quick question. Any doubt, any guesses? What's, I mean, if string builder and string buffer both are creating mutable string, they both support same feature. Why we have two options, string builder and string buffer? Okay, so the thing is, string buffer is basically a thread safe one, and string builder is not that thread safe. So what thread safe means is we'll understand when we'll talk about the threads, but eventually, if I'll tell you in the crux, so suppose same thing, same as two, we already know that these are mutable string, right? So suppose someone change so suppose this value is status. Okay, suppose you are working on some application, some e-commerce application, and your transaction is in pending state as of now. There are two parallel processes going on. One is trying to make the payment, and as soon as payment is completed, they will mark it as a success one. One is other process which is working on the rollback functionality. As soon as the transaction failed, they want to mark that transaction as a failed one. Okay, but there can be different scenario as well. People went to OTP page, they clicked on cancel thing, then some other workflow executed. So there can be a different scenario where two multiple threads were going on. Okay, and one of them marked the status as cancelled one, but somehow the old transaction that got executed. So you must have seen this one, na? Sometime when you are transferring payments via Google Pay, the transaction won't happen, I mean, immediately. But after some time, you got a message, okay, the money has been deducted, but your parcel or whatever the order you are trying to place on Amazon is not placed because that time transaction was not completed, right? So in such cases, if some thread mark this status as like a cancelled one but your payment is already executed, so it make a what to say, clash in the system. Clash as in clash between the what should be the final pending status. One process is saying it's a successful because amount is being deducted, and one is saying We did not get a final response within the time frame, so we are marking it as cancel only, right? So in such cases, we need to make our variable or data as a thread safe, so only one can update it. Make it like either it's a fulfill complete order or it's a cancel one. So in that case, we use some thread safe variable, and string buffer is a thread safe. It too have some limitation as well. That's why string builder is there. But yeah, that's the major difference between string buffer and builder. Okay, guys, any doubts so far? So should we move to some next topic? Because anyway, we have Saturday and Sunday off. Any suggestions? Okay. Okay. So uh, let's start with the other topic. I'm saying we can move to the next topic. Thanks, Kiran. Okay. Okay. So the next topic we're gonna discuss is like the exceptions and exception handling. Okay. Definitely you're gonna use this one in production grade code. It's not like a theoretical only. You will definitely need to understand, and will definitely going to use in the Spring Boot as well. So there are two things. One is exception and one is error. Okay. Exception is again recoverable state, but error is not a recoverable state. Okay. So if I'll give you example is you you know DDoS attack. DDoS attack means distributed denial of service. So some hacker try to crash your application. So what they will do is they will keep on hitting load to your application, so that there will be like hundreds of thousands of requests coming to your system, and your system is, suppose it's not scaled up or not in an auto scale environment, so one server cannot handle that much load. Okay, so it will keep on creating objects and beans. Your memory will bloat at one certain point of time. Okay, then your system will start giving this error, okay, out of memory, right? Or stack overflow or such error, right? So these are errors, right? I mean, your system is going to stop at some point in time. But some things are like exceptions. Exceptions are like recoverable thing if you handle them properly. Okay, so that's the crux difference between error and exception. In the exception itself, we have two type of exception. One is checked and one is unchecked. Like the polymorphism thing we discussed, right? One is static polymorphism or one is dynamic. Static is when you do the compilation of your code, you will get to know. Okay, so checked exceptions are like when you compile your code, that time itself you will get to know. Okay. Uh, so suppose if I'll write file f1 equals to new file. Okay, f1 dot rename to read that file stuff. Okay, f1 dot checked exception we usually get in files. So suppose I'll give them some path. I'll be starting reading it. Okay, let me figure out some. There must be some example for checked exception, and I'll be writing some code. What can be this one? JSON. This is good to know. Check my file. Okay, sorry, I couldn't remember any example where the checked exception come like it comes you while writing file code or something. I can quickly do that. If I'll write, see like this one, we create file and scanner, new scanner. We're trying to read file, but here itself it's a unhandled exception, file not found exception. Even though we are not running this code, right? We just pasted this code and system will started throwing exception. Okay, there can be some scenario if the file doesn't exist, you may end up in exceptional scenario, so you need to handle this exception, right? So Java itself know this is like a known exception to Java. Okay, people when people try to read file, there are some situation where file doesn't exist and some exception occur. So this is like a checked exception. I have to either handle it or remove it. Okay, so we'll discuss how to handle the exception, but the other part is unchecked exception. So suppose I'll say int x equals to 10, y equals to 0, z equals to x divided by y. Okay, we are not getting any error, but when we run this code, we'll get the exception. Exception in thread main, arithmetic exception divide by 0. We know we cannot divide anything by 0, but it's not a checked exception, right? System won't know your value y is 0 or 1 or 2 or 3, whatever it can be. You can do multiply or divide operation, right? So these are like unchecked or runtime exceptions. So how to handle exception in Java? So for handling exception in Java, there are usually four or five keywords. One is try. Okay. So try is like a block, okay, where you put your code where may or may not some exception happens. Okay. And then if there is any exception in this block, how to handle that situation is being written in catch. So suppose any exception happened during this code, whatever is written in try block, this block will catch that exception and handle it. Whatever you want to do, you can do it here. So suppose I'll write the same code, int x equals to 10, int y equals to 0, and c equals to x divided by y. Okay. Some see, this time no exception came because exception occurred, but this catch block it captured the exception and printed it here, right? So there is no harm to our code. Whatever is being executed will keep on executing. Just we know this there is going to be some exception here, so we handle it that way. Similar way, if you copy same code again, check the exception also. If you put in the try catch block, now the system will know, okay, if you will read it, otherwise keep it going. Same way, if I'll put it like 1, so simply this no exception will happen and catch block will be simply ignored. No catch block will be executed. Okay. Now the thing is, right now I write it exception E. Okay, this exception. But if you remember this, I'll comment this out. What was the type of exception I got when I executed this code? Oh, sorry, 0. Arithmetic exception, right? But right now here we added exception. So this exception is like parent class to all the application, whatever exists in Java. Okay, so suppose I'll explicitly write arithmetic exception E. This will work for me at this point in time. See, it handle it. But if I remove this code and paste this code for reading file, see, it's not handling. Why? Because file not file exception is not being handled by the catch block. This catch block is only looking for arithmetic exception. So what can be the other way? If I'll change this to exception class, now my error is gone. Or there can be two scenario. One is if there is some arithmetic exception, you want to print some other message like sorry. And if there is any generic one, you don't know about the exception particularly, but you know if there is an exception happen, then do this one. See, it also worked. Because you keep on writing catch in the same sequence. If arithmetic exception comes, do this. Otherwise, if it's not handled here, then go there. So if file scanner, this thing will, if some exception happen here, it will go there. See, it printed sorry some exception occurred because it's not an arithmetic one. If I'll paste that same code again, the x and y one, it will go to the arithmetic exception only. Now this went to arithmetic exception. So this is how you handle the exceptions. Okay, try, catch how to catch the exception. And there is one more block called finally. So suppose there are some scenario where you want to execute some part of the code even if some exception happened or won't happen. Like you are dealing with some database, okay, and if everything goes well, then also you want to close the connection. If something happens or something breaks in your pipeline, then also you have to close the connection, otherwise there will be some memory leakage in your code. So such code you will write here. Or maybe suppose whatever happen, suppose you are building some store application, whether someone is buying from you or not buying from you, you want to say thank you in the end, right? So such code you'll write here. Dot out dot println, thanks for see, some exception happened, it got handle and catch, and this line got printed, thanks for exploring exception. If I'll make this 0 as a 1, I'll rerun this code. See, no exception happened. It went smoothly. Still, we called this finally block. Thanks for exploring exceptions. So, any doubts on this one? Try, catch, finally, exception, parent exception, child exception. Sorry, Kiran, you were saying something.
Yeah, for calculation we have written arithmetic. For file, what you have written for exception handlings?
It's a general exception. Exception.
Okay, just like exception we have written.
So this is like a parent class for all the exception in Java. These
Okay,
are some specific exception. So there'll be different exception. Like one is this arithmetic. Suppose I'll write catch here. So there'll be some JSON mapping exception. There are hundreds of exception, even so many. Okay, and you can create your custom exceptions as well.
okay,
Okay, we're gonna take this in the next session, how to create your custom exception. But this is how, I mean, try to capture this part only. Try, catch, or finally. These are like parent-child thing. This is a little lengthy one. We'll talk in the next session. What is the difference between this exception and the arithmetic exception, and how specific exceptions are being created. But yeah, this exception class is like parent of all the exception, be it's your personal exception you created for your particular projects, or it exists with the Java level itself. You will understand that uh, uh, inheritance concept in more detail when we'll talk about the custom exception details and all this thing. Okay guys, any doubts so far? Okay, I'll take